Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by Maller Grodner Plummer Attorneys, providing legal services to clients and the community. Maller Grodner Plummer Attorneys, understanding, expertise, results. Bloomington and Indianapolis, on the web at lawngp.com. IU Center for Rural Engagement, extending IU Bloomington resources to improve Hoosier lives in partnership with communities and organizations. rural.indiana.edu. Smithville, fiber internet, security solutions, and voice in Southern Indiana. More information at smithville.com. Bunger and Robertson, attorneys at law since 1949, utilizing experience, knowledge, and resources to help individuals and families recover in personal injury matters. Information at lawbr.com. And by WTIU members. Thank you.
Coming up on Indiana Newsdesk, Monroe County's Justice Center has been closed at times over the past 2 weeks for mold remediation.
All of the levels have been reading acceptable by laboratory standards, but that's not good enough. We want to do everything we can, and that's what we're doing.
It's the latest issue at the Justice Center, which the county has been ordered to replace. The Indiana football team opens a new season this weekend with high expectations and a new old mascot.
The mascot is a new asset that can be monetized to keep IU athletics competitive in this new era and world of college athletics.
Hoosier the Bison is a reimagined mascot briefly used in the late 1960s. And a Bloomington High School South runner has qualified for next week's World Para Track Championships. We'll have these stories and more right now on Indiana Newsdesk. Welcome to Indiana Newsdesk. I'm Joe Wren. The Monroe County Justice Building has closed at times over the past 2 weeks for mold removal. Prisoners were moved into courtrooms as the building was cleaned. Conditions in the jail have long been a concern, but as Ethan Sandwise reports, recently county workers elsewhere in the building have worried for their safety too.
County Commissioner Julie Thomas says the building has had roof and sewage leaks before, but on August 6, workers noticed condensation in the HVAC system.
Because of the humidity, this condensation, it was almost like raining above the ceiling tiles.
In internal emails, county staff described experiencing headaches, sore throats, and burning eyes while in the office. They shared images of water damage on ceiling tiles and trash cans being used to collect dripping water. The county hired VET Environmental Engineering to clean part of the jail and Justice Center.
A lot of the molds that we found are molds that create allergies in humans. So yes, just your common sniffles, sneezes, headaches, itchy eyes, things of that are very normal with those types of molds.
VET found several species growing in the building, but not much higher than outdoor levels.
All of the levels have been reading acceptable by laboratory standards, but that's not good enough. We want to do everything we can, and that's what we're doing.
County offices were closed for cleaning Wednesday, as they were last week on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. The work suspended operations at offices of the Circuit Court, Prosecutor, Public Defender, County Clerk, and Probation. Court hearings were rescheduled. In a press release, the Sheriff's Office said prisoners were being kept in courtroom areas of the Justice Center during the cleanup. A full evacuation would be complicated, it said, and cause lengthy and unnecessary disruptions. The Sheriff's Department declined to answer questions.
We've treated the jail side exactly as we've treated the office side, with great care and compassion for the people who are in those environments, but at the same time doing everything we can to try to mitigate as much of this as we can.
This summer's mold scare resulted from a combination of factors, some structural and some environmental.
The design of the building may not have been ideal. The HVAC system in that building is very large, very complex, and we kind of had unprecedented heat, humidity, and precipitation this year.
The commissioners and sheriff's office used the incident to stress the importance of a new jail and justice facility, which has been an ongoing struggle for the county. The county shared renderings this week by an Indianapolis firm of what the 400-bed facility north of Bloomington might look like. Thomas hopes Monroe County can break ground by next summer, assuming it can navigate legislative hurdles that limit Indiana County's ability to raise money.
Some of the obstacles we're facing relates specifically to Senate Enrolled Act 1 and the limitations it has put on county governments to create bonds and funding mechanisms.
Thomas says the county expects to have a full report on the last stages of VET's fogging and testing a week from Friday.
So Ethan is joining us live now from the newsroom. Ethan, I understand there was a county council work session this morning and they discussed plans for the new jail.
That's right. Councilors went over a few plans for what the new 400-bed jail between Bloomington and Ellettsville might look like. They talked about some possible cost-saving measures since the county lost some of its ability to sell bonds under a new state law. It includes installing some mechanical equipment on the roof instead of in isolated rooms. But there was acknowledgement that since the legislature changed its fundraising law, building the jail could take longer and cost more.
So did the public have a chance to weigh in today?
The few members of the public who were there Friday morning objected to the project due to its cost and general opposition to expanding incarceration.
So now there is a timeline for the new jail.
The bonding process is expected to start in January, with construction to begin in October of 2026. Completion is projected to be June of 2029.
All right, Ethan, thank you very much for your reporting. Well, with state cuts to the On My Way pre-K program, providers are concerned affordable, accessible childcare will be less attainable for children from lower-income families. Reporter Isabella Vesperini has more on how daycares are adjusting.
But I tripped and fell. Uh-oh.
The Compass Early Learning Center in Bloomington has 6 kids in its On My Way pre-K. Their combined tuition is $83,000 for the year, but the 6 4-year-olds get to attend for free. Recent legislation limits the number of children who are eligible, but even though the center already operates in a deficit, it says those families won't have to pay.
We will fundraise for them. They will be placed on our, well, if they're on My Way Pre-K, they will still pay $0 out of pocket for the cost of their care, and we will fundraise and make up that difference.
About an hour north of Bloomington and Speedway, the Weston School is opening its 5th location this fall to help make childcare more accessible amid state cuts.
In the city of Speedway, it's actually considered a childcare desert where there's not programs of this facility and magnitude being instilled there that have such an enormous facility with all the amenities in the classrooms with the teachers of this caliber to be able to offer the childcare.
But they still won't be able to enroll as many kids in the program as they could have, because students who would have been eligible for state assistance no longer are.
We are getting phone calls from single moms, single parents, foster families, families that commute to this area to work or bypass it on 465 and want to bring their children here, but they can't because it's just not attainable at this time because of cost.
A total of 2,500 kids across the state are eligible to enroll in the program. Last year, more than 6,000 kids participated. Other changes include adjusting the family income eligibility from 150% to 140% of the poverty line and limiting voucher money.
We're going above and beyond to do everything we can on our end to provide this high quality, but we need the community and the state to pay attention and invest in our children and our future, not make cuts.
A recent U.S. Chamber of Commerce report found that Indiana loses about $4.2 billion annually due to lost job productivity, absenteeism, and income tax. Officials stress that investing less in childcare ties into this bigger economic issue.
If invested in properly, it can help support the workforce of so many companies that are waiting to come to Indiana, but don't have anywhere for their workforce to have childcare.
What do you need?
For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Isabella Vesperini.
The Family and Social Services Administration says the cuts will help keep the program accessible for those who need it most. Well, we're joined now by Olivia Wilson for more headlines from around the state. Welcome back to the show, Olivia.
Thank you, Joe. I'm very happy to be back. Indiana Republican lawmakers visited the White House Tuesday amid a push from President Trump for more favorable congressional districts ahead of next year's midterm election. Indiana State Representative Jim Lucas, a Republican from Seymour, attended the White House meetings with about 60 to 70 other Indiana lawmakers, Before his visit, Lucas said on our Noon Edition show that he was a hard no on redistricting.
It's not worth it. You're going to put a lot of really good state people in jeopardy to try and get one congressional seat.
After hearing presentations at the White House on a number of issues, Lucas now says redrawing election lines to accomplish the Trump agenda might be worth it.
All of these policy goals that President Trump and his administration wants to enact, he has to have backing, which the Democrats will not give him. If they take the House back.
Lucas says he's still not a yes on redistricting in Indiana, and he wants to see election maps of Democrat-controlled states. Indiana Democrats say Republicans trying to redraw the state's congressional map are greedy cheaters, dismantling the bedrock principles of democracy. Indiana Public Broadcasting's Brandon Smith reports Democrats rallied at the Indianapolis airport Tuesday as Republican members of the legislature visited the White House.
If Republicans redraw Indiana's congressional districts to try to oust the state's 2 Democratic congressmen, Democrats say legal action will follow. Representative Mitch Gore says that's because redrawing the map will require carving up communities of color.
Diluting their power, their representation, their ability to fight for schools, health care, housing, and justice.
Senator Andrea Hunley called on Republicans to forego pay if a special session is called for redistricting.
And at a time when our state budget is already crunched, this is so irresponsible to ask our taxpayers to foot the bill.
A special session would likely cost taxpayers between $150,000 and $250,000. For Indiana Public Broadcasting, I'm Brandon Smith at the State House.
Count USIN survey of 1,600 Hoosiers found that 52% oppose redistricting this year, compared to 34% who support it. The City of Bloomington Utilities wants to increase its water rates by around 20%. CBU says the Monroe Water Treatment Plant's infrastructure is aging, and rate increases will be necessary to provide reliable service in the future.
Another large aspect of raising rates is the fact that operating costs have simply gone up. And we need to keep up with that.
For residential customers, the proposed increase is from $4.38 per 1,000 gallons of water to $5.31. A new contract for Central Indiana Kroger employees increase in short-term disability pay and more hours for workers. Union workers approved the new 3-year deal this week. While it doesn't include everything workers wanted, they say it's a step in the right direction. Kroger did not respond to a request for comment. The IU Board of Trustees nominating committee unanimously approved a slate of candidates for board offices, including new trustee David Hormuth as chair. Monday's meeting was over Zoom. It's the first committee session to be open to the public in a number of years.
I want to compliment you on making those significant steps toward openness and transparency, which, of course, Governor Braun has called for.
Hormuth succeeds Quinn Buckner as board chair. Buckner had served as the chair since 2021. College students, especially new ones, face a higher risk of sexual assaults between the time of move-in to Thanksgiving break. Known as the red zone, it's the period when about half of the sexual assaults that will occur during the academic school year happen. That can be due to an increase of social events and new students being unfamiliar with the college area and the resources available to them.
So I think that if more people are aware that this is a time when harm is caused, if more people are paying attention, more people are willing to step in, they see a problematic situation, they kind of intervene and make sure it doesn't go too far.
She says when new students attend social activities, especially where alcohol may be involved, they often don't have an established friend group to help them when a harmful situation arises. Indiana State's freshman class is its largest since the COVID-19 pandemic 5 years ago. The university says 1,602 freshmen enrolled this fall, a 13% increase from last year. And Joe, Indiana State also had a freshman to sophomore retention rate of just under 70%, the highest retention rate in school history.
It's good news for Indiana State. They've been dealing with a declining enrollment. Thank you so much, Olivia. Coming up next on Indiana Newsdesk. A Bloomington High School South athlete has earned a spot on Team USA for next month's World Para Track Championships. And Indiana University will unveil a new, old version of its mascot at this weekend's football season opener. These stories and more right here on Indiana Newsdesk.
It's a peek behind the curtain.
The magnitude of life here is unparalleled.
It's an explosion of sound and color.
The smallest voice tell the grandest of stories.
You are more than what people think you are.
I think it's worth fighting for.
Yes.
Hello, I'm Todd Gould, Senior Producer Director at WTIU. I've personally devoted nearly 40 years of my life producing PBS arts and documentary films about important stories from Indiana. The arts, history, and people that make Hoosiers great. Despite government cutbacks, we will never stop telling Indiana's stories, your stories. Please donate now to keep this station strong. Become a sustaining monthly member at WTIU.org.
Welcome back to Indiana Newsdesk. Monroe County is signing off on a multi-million-dollar tax abatement to expand pharmaceutical manufacturing in Bloomington. As George Hale reports, the County Council and Commissioners approved the deal with Simtra Biopharm this week.
Simtra makes sterile injectable products for medical purposes. The 10-year, $20 million agreement covers both its current facility on North Curry Pike and a new facility across the street on the former General Electric site.
So I think we're all very excited to see something come out of this property, and couldn't think of a better way to use it.
Simtra says it's investing nearly $250 million in the new facility. It's also expected to create about 90 new jobs.
More targeted products, more targeted therapies, and it allows us to become the only North American commercial manufacturer for these types of products.
The agreement is dependent on the company meeting its commitments and adding new production lines.
The first line would have to be in place by 2030, and the second line would be in place, I believe, by 2033.
Commissioners praised company officials for working with the county.
I think that people think that tax abatements are basically corporate giveaways, and they're not. They're really community partnerships, and you guys are going to take and invest a lot of money in our community's future.
For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm George Hale.
Next month, Bloomington High School South senior Violet Hall will compete in the World Para Track Championships in India. Isabella Visperini has more on Hall, a sprinter who was born without the lower part of her right arm.
Violet Hall never thought she'd start her senior year of high school training for a world championship. She started in para-athletics after her coaches encouraged her to look at the finishing times needed to compete nationally.
I thought, hey, my times are really close to that. I can definitely reach those if I keep working at this.
Hall competed at this month's Para-National Championships in Eugene, Oregon, winning the 200 meters ahead of a two-time silver medalist in the event at the Paralympics. But even that didn't guarantee her a spot on Team USA. She had to wait for the announcement.
So I was the very last name to be listed, and once they announced my name, I looked at my mom, I said, why'd they have to do that to me? And I got out in the hallway and I took a big sigh. I actually started tearing up.
Since then, Hall's been practicing 3 times a week, working on sprint drills and block starts. With only one hand to put on the ground at the start of a race, her technique has to be unconventional.
I do keep my front foot a lot flatter than other people, and I keep more of my foot on the ground rather than the pedals, just so I have more stability.
With about a month until race day, that's her main focus.
We're working very specifically on getting her out of the blocks more efficiently, more powerfully. That's been a challenge for her. Her particular limitation requires us to make some compromises with her positioning in the block. And so we're trying to find the best way to get the most force out of the blocks so she can get into a good acceleration position quicker than she has been.
Hall started competitive running in 4th grade on the St. Charles Catholic School track team. In high school, she has been a long jumper and high jumper as well as a sprinter.
Nobody here thinks of her as someone with a disability that she's getting special attention for. She is quite literally one of the best athletes in the school. So coaching kids that have a ton of natural ability is, it's super enjoyable. It's a challenge. How do we get kids to most fully express the natural ability that they have within whatever limitations they have?
At 6'1", Violet also plays as a forward for South's basketball team. Her coach thinks she's talented enough to play at an NCAA Division I school in college. Hall says people underestimate her more in basketball than in track.
A lot of people think that because I have one arm that I'm not going to be good at basketball, but whereas track, I have both my legs. They work fine. They can see all my results online.
Rensink praises Hall for being flexible and finding ways to adapt without part of her right arm.
She has lived her life with this disability, and she has found a way to adapt and be able to do virtually anything. She's one of the best players on our basketball team. So track and field, that's a breeze compared to having to play a ball sport with one arm that's half the length of the other. It's pretty amazing.
As the biggest meet of her young life approaches, Violet focuses on preparation.
All I can give is all that I have. And so whether that's maybe 70% on one day, but it feels like 100 that day, I just give everything that I can for that day, and that's all I can do.
Set, go! Fast, fast, fast!
For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Isabella Vesperini.
Hall will run the 100 and 200 meters in the T46 category, which is for athletes who have a single arm amputation above or below the elbow or a similar impairment and normal leg functions. And Indiana University's football team opens the season Saturday at Memorial Stadium. Fans are anxious to get a look at this year's edition of the Hoosiers, but as Aubrey Wright reports, there'll be another Hoosier on the field to see. That's Hoosier the Bison, a reimagined return of IU's mascot from the 1960s.
Nick's English Hut has long been a favorite for Hoosier fans. This football season, patrons are in a mood to spend. And not just for the beer, it's for the Bison.
We've got our merchandise all over the country, all over the world from Indiana University alumni. It's so ingrained in the fabric of Nick's. It's on everything.
Nick's sells t-shirts, hats, sweatshirts, and more with the bovine logo. As IU gears up for a grand reveal Saturday, Hoosier the Bison could be a cash cow.
I guarantee for August and September, yes, our stuff will be up because we do have the Bison as our logo.
Down the street, the newly opened Tracks on Kirkwood is seeing that same demand.
It's a bestseller on the website. It's a pretty good seller in here as well, as you can imagine.
Home Field has embraced bringing the Bison back since 2018. Today, it's still the #1 design.
This sparked all of these other Bison tees that you might, or items, hats, whatever you might see hanging around the store, and basically forced IU's hand to bring the Bison back.
Regardless of IU athletics' motivations, it will profit too, according to a sports economist. Between merchandising, licensing, and sponsorships, a lovable mascot could attract fans of all ages.
At the end of the day, the mascot is a new asset that can be monetized to keep IU athletics competitive in this new era and world of college athletics.
A far less refined Bison mascot made its debut at IU in 1965. The brutish, clunky beast appeared during a fleeting period of success for the Hoosiers, including a Rose Bowl appearance in 1967. Today, the Hoosiers are coming off an historic season with Coach Curt Cignetti.
If I think of that Bison mascot, my immediate thought is, well, wow, that was really used in that very brief window of time that IU was relevant nationally. And hopefully we're entering an era where we're doing that again.
Even after IU ditched the Bison by the 1970s, Nick's kept the tradition alive.
The Bison has always been our logo and will always remain to be our logo because we're true to Indiana, true to Indiana University, and true to Nick's English Hut.
As fans crowd Kirkwood on Saturday, businesses like Trax hope they'll stop in for Hoosier the Bison.
We've got like a little bit of everything, and it's a great story and conversation starter for most people to come in here.
For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Aubrey Wright.
The Hoosiers enter the season ranked 20th in the Associated Press poll. They'll be more than a 3-touchdown favorite in Saturday's game against Old Dominion. Kickoff is at 2:30 on FS1. Well, that's the end of this program, but our work continues online as we cover the news throughout the week at WTIUnews.org. Have a great weekend.
Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by Maller-Grotner Plummer Attorneys, providing legal services to clients and the community. Maller-Grotner Plummer Attorneys, understanding, expertise, results. Bloomington and Indianapolis, on the web at lawngp.com. IU Center for Rural Engagement, extending IU Bloomington resources to improve Hoosier lives in partnership with communities and organizations. rural.indiana.edu. Smithville, fiber internet, security solutions, and voice in southern Indiana. More information at smithville.com. Bunger and Robertson, attorneys at law since 1949, utilizing experience, knowledge, and resources to help individuals and families recover in personal injury matters. Information at lawbr.com. And by WTIU members. Thank you.